Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is the Pet Life Podcast. As always, I am Patrick, and I'm going to be doing a quick solo one today. Just a couple things that I was on my mind, and I thought it'd be a good time to just break up some of the interviews here. So last week I had a awesome conversation with my best friend. I won't say his name, but obviously he knows who I'm talking about, and we were just talking about some of the things that are happening, obviously, in the world. And what was interesting is him and I, on the surface, have a lot of different views. He is very much on the left, or a liberal. He has a lot of very strong views on certain things, which some things I don't agree with, or I don't fully agree. But the point of our conversation was really beautiful in the sense that we were talking, and as we were both going and listening, and I think that was the biggest thing, is just really hearing what each other was saying, not allowing the emotional to get in the way. We ended up realizing we agree on more than we realized. And we never really have ever had beef, even with our disagreements. I still love him, he still loves me, in the sense of I do anything for him, like a brother. And there's a love, obviously, when you have that with people, it's really hard to break, especially when you're both in a mindset and of maturity, where it's looking at that person of knowing, hey, you're going to have views that are different than mine, as long as you're not trying to hurt anybody or really cause pain, I still love you. And I think that's what's missing here in a lot of the world today, and it's for a reason. And what was awesome was that as we were talking, he was bringing things to my attention that I wasn't fully aware of, and it was interesting. And I, listening, knowing very well what the gist of what he was saying is, I was understanding that I can agree. And obviously things that I was saying, whether or not he could fully agree, he was like, I get where you're coming from. And that was the thing, is we both realized, even at our heart, we're the same people that both care about one another, the people that we care about in our lives. That doesn't change. It's obviously, what's happening in the world? And ultimately what broke down to is he wants the same output as I do. We want to see the world be a better place. We want a system where people can thrive. Obviously there is ownership, responsibility, and those are things that we all agree on. So about 90% of the things we talked about, we were on the same page. There was a 10% issue where he just wasn't seeing the road that I was seeing, how we get there, or seeing the same flaws that in the system that I thought that he was seeing. Now, I see things, I understand where he's coming from a little bit more. He hasn't fully dove into the things that I've looked into, which is okay. And I kept reminding him, I was like, look, dude, I don't expect you to understand this, but please understand that this didn't just come from me randomly watching a video and then changing my mind and then going down a different path. This was about taking the time of knowing if I need to find answers, or if I'm looking for answers, well, I'm going to dig, and I'm going to do my best to really then use my logic to analyze, okay, well, what's my conclusion, or what's the conclusion, what's the truth? And and I feel in many ways it resonated with him. And I bring all this up because with the society that we're in, and you see this constant barrage of back and forth, blaming, we start to understand that more people want to agree, and that in a mature state, a lot of us want to be on the same page. We don't want to fight. We don't want to cause animosity, and especially right now, with everything with the vacation. Especially they're showing things about supposedly testing on, children. Obviously, I don't agree with that. But then I ask the question, why are they so open about this? Why are they so open about putting deaths in regards to then adding, right after the vaccine or the vacation? Well, there's a reason for it. And, I'm going to just say it. If you haven't seen it, go check out Owen Benjamin's, his co-host, Tea Time with Gary and Terry, because he nailed it on the head. And what we're currently seeing right now is a shift in who's the victor and potentially who's the victim. Pride. For a long time, people who were for, these masks and these vacations, telling people what they can and cannot do, getting angry, ridiculing, chastising these people. Now the tables are turning, and they're more open about it. More people are talking about it in regards to the opposite effect. And Owen had a great point in saying that now that if this is turning, and it's so evident to everybody how wrong a lot of this stuff is, how are you as the person who has been ridiculed, has been chastised, has been told you're all these names, how do you respond? Do you become the same thing that you hated about others treating you? And I use hate loosely, because at the end of the day, as I said, most of the things that we say we then hate about somebody because they see things differently comes from an emotional place. When the dust settles and things clear, a lot of times we forget the reasons why we were angry. Or you hear people talking about later in life, why was I so angry? It wasn't that big of a deal. And obviously, yes, right now there's a lot of things that are a big deal. But the grand scheme of things, we're creating it. We're creating that big deal by allowing this separation between one another, causing this complete polar opposites. And as I said, Owen nailed it on the head. Right now, there's a lot of people, and very much the community that I'm familiar with in regards to that are opposing a lot of the stuff that's happening. And people are starting to get a little bit on their high horses about it. And that's not good. It's never good to blame somebody or yell at somebody and call them names or, trying to make them feel bad. Because there's a lot of people on both sides, most more than others, that they're just scared. And they don't have information, or they don't know the bigger picture, or they don't necessarily want to see the bigger picture. And I bring all of this up because it's understanding that my friend that I had this amazing conversation with, being that we had so many differences, when you actually take a second and allow yourself to talk from a place of logic, from love, from compassion, gratitude, you start to realize there's more in common than we realize. And then I ask the question, is it that maybe some people do realize it, but they want to be in that state, or there's an addiction to that state of fear? And I believe there is. But I just wanted to go into all this because it's just really important for us to take a minute to think about the conversations in our lives that we've had with loved ones, friends, maybe friends that we've lost, family that we've lost, in regards to disagreements. And then just asking, was it worth it? Was it worth separating or causing that much distance between because of a difference in opinion? Because at the end of the day, as I said, most of us want the same outcome. A lot of us want to see others do well. We want to see people thrive. We want to thrive ourselves. Obviously, there's a few of us that don't want those. So, all that being said, I really just want people to take the time to start showing a little more gratitude. If you don't agree with my posts, or if you don't agree with me, that's okay. I have no problem disagreeing. But then I ask the questions, have you looked into the things? Have you looked into what I'm talking about? Not just what you're told and you turn on the news, or you Google one search and you stay on the front page and you open a few links that you're very familiar with the names of those websites. Looking deeper. Really asking questions, connecting dots. And if people then say, well, I don't have the time, or it's too much, then okay, that's fine. But let's not criticize each other. Let's try to understand one another. Obviously, it breaks my heart seeing a lot of the things that I do with, children wearing masks and people clearly having problems when they're walking or talking, just so uncomfortable. Obviously, the stuff that you do hear in the news, and you hear the articles about people passing away, whether or not it's from the vacation or whether it's not from, what they would call this convict. But the point is that we have to stop looking at the other person as the problem. We have to come together and understand, okay, you see something and you have a reason for it. You're very compassionate. You don't want to see people die. That's what we're getting fed. Who's the only one, rather, the corporations that want to see people as patients for life? Who's the people or the places that want to make sure that you're a customer for life? Who are the people that will openly say to you, we want to take care of you so you don't have to. We want to make your life easier. Those are the types of people that I would question, do you have my best interest at heart? Because as we know, at any moment, when you become fully dependent on somebody else, and you think everything's dandy, the minute that gets pulled, what do? Do you know how to take care of yourself? Do you know how to fend for yourself? Do you even know how to look for food? Do you know how to look for water? And it sounds like I'm getting to an extreme here, but I'm not. Just so I ask you guys to start asking yourself, am I dependent on others? Is this why I'm afraid to speak out? Is this why I'm not willing to allow myself to question things that I've seen, experienced in the narratives that we're being told? And if you're somebody who fully believes everything that you're being told, by my gosh, hey man, you believe it, there is nothing here to say you to stop. You do you. That's not even coming from a place of anger or hate. Go live your life. I'm not here to talk. You're not necessarily who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the people that are back and forth with someone in their family or the people in themselves if something doesn't feel right, or I'm not so sure about this. Just follow that instinct. Start to ask yourself, where am I putting my emotions? Am I putting it on others? Am I putting it to food? Am I putting it to drugs? Am I putting it to alcohol? Am I putting it towards, just exercise? What am I putting my energy towards? And then just asking yourself, do I like it? Do I enjoy it? Do I feel better because of it? Do I sleep better at night because of it? So, I know I'm going a little bit on a rant here, but understanding is that we want to change the world, but we have to focus on ourselves first. And that part of ourselves first is starting to ask questions, coming from a place of maturity, listening to other people who maybe don't necessarily have the same outlook as us, and just go with any of these conversations with an open mind. Because when you start doing that, and when we all start doing that, we allow ourselves to actually be what we all want to be. Free individuals. Living men, living women, we become free. I know every single person here, to some capacity, says they want that. But then it comes with responsibility. It comes with ownership. Are you then willing to take that ownership? And a lot of people may have asked themselves these questions already, and that ownership is too scary. That responsibility is too scary. And that's okay. No one's here to tell you otherwise. But as always, if that's decisions you are making consciously, I ask you to then keep them to yourself. Allow yourself to follow that path. Don't force things on others. Which is why as I'm talking here, there's nothing here that I want to force on anybody. But it is looking at, we all have to make decisions in life, and we're all trying to make decisions to better one another, for the most part. So, anyway, don't allow yourself to get crazy. Don't start shoving things in people's faces. We aren't here to kill each other. No one's trying to do that. We need to thrive together. And that's what we're ultimately aiming for. There's definitely a shift happening. It's just a matter now whether that shift is going to allow people who maybe felt like a victim to then try to become prideful and then shove it in people's faces. So let's not do that. As Owen said, there's no reason for it. It's about growing. It's about building communities. It's about building families. It's about, building gardens. All the same things that we've been talking about for a long time. So, anyway, I hope this helps. And as always, I'll see you till next time.